Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, April 14, 2022. President of the Republic of Rwanda, His Excellency Paul Kagame, addressed a joint sitting of the Houses of Parliament today as he continues his three-day state visit to Jamaica. The Rwandan president arrived at the Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston yesterday, where he was greeted by the Governor-General, Prime Minister, and Chief of Defense Staff before meeting with other government officials. He later visited the National Heroes Park and laid a floral tribute at the shrine of national hero Marcus Garvey. The visit of President Kagame is expected to deepen bilateral relations between Jamaica and Rwanda. It is also in recognition of Jamaica's 60th anniversary of independence, being celebrated this year. Effective tomorrow, April 15, pre-testing will no longer be required for travel to Jamaica, and the wearing of masks in enclosed public places will be highly encouraged but not mandatory. The Office of the Prime Minister released a statement yesterday announcing the end of the two measures that have been in effect since 2020 as part of measures to stop or limit the spread of COVID-19. As the pandemic continues, all other measures under the Public Health Enforcement Measures Coronavirus COVID-19 Order 2022 remain unchanged at this time. These include a requirement for persons who test positive for COVID-19 to isolate at home until they have recovered. Directions relating to the conduct of COVID-19 testing and the handling of samples and reports by private laboratories also remain unchanged, along with provisions to protect the identity of persons who test positive for the virus. Owners or operators of businesses, places of worship, educational institutions, or other establishments to which the public has access are still required to ensure that hand-washing stations or hand sanitizing equipment are placed and maintained at the entrance of the premises. The update to Jamaica's pandemic response comes as the country is seeing relatively low case numbers. However, pointing out that new COVID variants continue to emerge and some countries are experiencing increased cases, the Office of the Prime Minister is urging persons to take personal responsibility. Members of the public are urged to continue to exercise caution and voluntarily observe the infection prevention and control measures, including wearing masks in enclosed spaces to protect themselves and family members. Jamaica's tax and non-tax revenues continue to improve year over year. For the period April 2021 to February 2022, tax revenue was $516.7 billion. This is $2.3 billion, or 0.5% below the third supplemental budgeted target. According to the Economic Program Oversight Committee, EPOC, this largely reflected lower than programmed special consumption tax and international trade receipts. But while the tax revenue was lower than budgeted, it outperformed the previous fiscal year and pre-COVID levels.
It was $9.8 billion ahead of 2019-20 and $85.6 billion tax revenues ahead of for the same period up to February last year. So tax revenues really improving year over year.
Similarly, non-tax revenue, which came in at $76.1 billion, was lower than budgeted, but significantly higher than previous years.
But this non-tax revenue is significantly ahead of last year's number and significantly ahead of the pre-COVID levels by $20.2 billion. So again, we're seeing recovery, but nominally in relationship, if you were to, as I said, account for inflation.
For the 2022-2023 fiscal year, government is projecting to increase tax revenue by 10.8%, earning $671.5 billion for the period. Jamaica's international reserves remain healthy, which, among other things, means the country can remain liquid in the case of crisis and provide confidence for investors. During its quarterly press briefing on Tuesday, the Economic Oversight Committee, EPOC, reported that the country's net international reserves had declined since December 2021, but remains strong at $3.6 billion. At March 25, 2022, there was gross international reserves of $4.3 billion, 138% of the level considered adequate.
Our foreign reserves have been boosted by remittances, which have been doing very well, $2.9 billion up to February 22 year over year, right? Visitor arrivals, which we see on the increase.
12 members of the judiciary were sworn into higher office by Governor-General Sir Patrick Allen during a ceremony at King's House this week. Tanya Mott-Tullereed was appointed to serve as puisne judge, while Pamela Mason, Stephanie Orr, Opal Smith, Dale Staple, Sharon Barnes, Althea Jarrett, and Maxine Jackson will serve as acting puisne judges. Meanwhile, Justice Evan Brown has been appointed to serve as a judge in the Court of Appeal, while Justices Georgiana Fraser and Kisok Leng will both be acting judges of appeal. And Tamara Dickens will serve as acting master in chambers. Governor General Sir Patrick Allen reminded the judges to always consider their oath to defend the Constitution and to act without fear, favor, affection, or ill will in executing their duties.
This is a crucial time in our history when we will be called on to closely examine and take actions in some of the provisions of the Constitution. I would want to think that it is incumbent on the judiciary to ensure that the legislative branch and the executive branch, of course, receive the best advice in order to make the best decisions.
Justice Evan Brown responded on behalf of his colleagues, remarking that the honor was both humbling and inspiring.
We view this occasion also as one of renewal and rebirth. It is honor that led us to respond to the call to serve in these various positions, and not vainglory nor the possibility of riches.
And finally, the Ministry of Education will be completing major infrastructure works at 3 high schools this fiscal year. 2 classroom blocks with a total of 12 classrooms, as well as a wastewater system, are being constructed at Black River High. A wastewater project is also to be installed at Papine High School, while Kingston College is receiving computer labs and a library resource center. Minister of Education and Youth, Favour Williams, made the announcement during her contribution to the 2022-2023 sectoral debate in the House of Representatives on Tuesday.
The infrastructure development projects are designed to enhance the teaching and learning environment for our students and teachers across all levels of the education system. The projects are geared towards the elimination of the shift system, the reduction of overcrowding in schools, and the provision of quality school spaces.
Construction will begin on 9 major infrastructure projects at the Cedric Titus, Bridgeport, Westwood, Albert Town, Newell, and Mount St. Joseph High Schools, in addition to Homewood Technical, Exchange All-Age, and Deas Infant. Procurement for construction services will also be done for another 9 major infrastructure projects. These are planned for the Papine, Port Antonio, Denham Town, Nain, New Forest, Belair, and Aberdeen High Schools, along with Stony Hill Technical High and Boundbrook Primary. Several schools across the island will also benefit from fencing and electrical upgrades. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.